In modern language, the word Pharisee has become synonymous with hypocrisy, sanctimony, and treachery. We are used to seeing them only as blind fanatics and the main enemies of Christ. We are used to seeing them only as blind fanatics and the main enemies of Christ. But what if their history is merely of their victorious enemies?
Who are they really?
Today we will travel back 2,000 years to an era of blazing wars and religious schism to the origin of the Pharisees.
Let's start with the main point. The Pharisees were not a separate ethnic group or race.
We stand for the law and the people.
They lived in the territory of ancient Judea, in the very heart of the Middle East. The height of their power was the so-called Second Temple period. The movement began in the century BCE and lasted into the 1st century CE, shaped by revolt and resilience. The Pharisees separated Fulams apart. They sought to Hellenize our cities, to build theaters and temples in our midst. They chose peace through pact, not battle.
No.
But the Pharisees separated themselves from the corrupted elite to preserve the purity of the Moses during the darkest of times. They marked themselves by law, not by luxury. What did a typical Pharisee look like? Unlike the wealthy Sadducees who wore expensive Roman togas, the Pharisees deliberately emphasized the law in their appearance. They wore traditional long woolen or linen tunics in modest, natural colors. On their foreheads and left arms during prayer, you could see tefillin, small leather boxes containing texts from Scripture, and the edges of their cloaks were adorned with long tassels, meant to serve as a minute reminder of God's commandments. Most of them wore long, well-kept beards, yet the Pharisees were not hermits in the desert. They were city dwellers, craftsmen, merchants, minor officials, and of course scholar scribes who commanded among the common people. The Pharisees accomplished an incredible revolution in religion. Before them, it was believed that one could only serve God in the Temple of Jerusalem by offering animal sacrifice. The Pharisees declared God is everywhere. Studying his law in local houses of prayers is more important than any sacrifice.
It was the Pharisees who brought to Judaism the immortality of the soul, the dead and the Messiah liberator.
It was the Pharisees' belief in the resurrection of the dead, the existence of angels, and the imminent coming of the Messiah liberator. They created the so-called oral law, rules that adapted the ancient commandments to a changing real world. But why are they described so grimly in the Gospels?
The fact is, Jesus Christ and the Pharisees were competing for the hearts and minds of the same common people.
Their arguments weren't a theological chasm, but a fierce internal debate. Jesus criticized some of them because behind the external fanatical observance of hundreds of minor rules, for example, how to properly wash hands, they forgot about the main things: love, mercy, and justice. In 66 AD, Judea led in a massive revolt against the Roman Empire. The outcome was catastrophic. In 70 AD, Roman legions under the command of Titus besieged and completely destroyed Jerusalem. Roman legions burned the temple and slaughtered hundreds of thousands of Jews. All the competing Jewish sects perished in the fire of that war. The Sadducees vanished, since without the temple their power was nullified. But the Pharisees survived. Their leader, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, secretly fled the besieged city in a coffin. All the competing Jewish sects perished in the fire of that war. The Sadducees vanished, since without the temple their power was nullified, but the Pharisees survived.
Their leader, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, secretly fled the besieged city in a coffin.
Rabbi obtained permission from the Romans to open a small academy in the city of Yavneh.
So where did they disappear to afterward?
The answer is astonishing. They never disappeared. Saving a nation without a state and without a temple, the Pharisees completely rebuilt the faith.
All of modern Orthodox Judaism, every synagogue in the world, and the entire rabbinate.
Shall we try that line together?
Saving a nation without a state and without a temple, the Pharisees completely rebuilt the faith. All of modern Orthodox Judaism is a direct continuation of the Pharisees' teaching. The Pharisees were not perfect. There were plenty of hypocrites among them, just like in any human community. But it was these separated scribes who managed to save their people's culture from dissolving completely into history. Hit like if this made you see history differently. See you in new videos.
I hope you now know a bit more about the Pharisees than just a few stereotypical phrases.
The Pharisees are just one piece of a complex historical puzzle. There is so much more interesting content coming up at that era, so you don't miss out.
So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Thank you for watching until the end.
If you found this story helpful, please support the video with a like. It really helps the channel grow. Subscribe if you're interested in similar topics, and I'll see you in the next video.